Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you all had a great Monday, or might be Tuesday for some, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to episode 98 of the Snowflake Viewpoint. Wow. 2 episodes away from 100 of this series. That's pretty amazing. A few stumbling blocks along the way. Holidays, sickness and whatnot. But we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We're covering... I've got 6 stories for you guys to look at tonight in the UK. They do not involve the Pope. So, obviously, rest in peace to the Pope Francis, of course. But don't worry. I'm not going to be covering that in detail. There's plenty of... I'm sure there'll be plenty of discussions on that, I'm sure. But I'm not going to be covering any of that tonight here, guys. But we are live on youtube.com/REGANELITE, as you're watching, some of you watching this there. But there's also some that might be watching on twitch.tv/REGANELITE1 as well. We are on 2 different platforms. So if you're on Twitch, make sure you hit that bell notification icon. Hit the follow button as well, so you'll know when we go notified when I go live there. If you're on Twitch, hitting the like button, sharing, and subscribing, all that stuff really does help support the channel as well. And feel free to leave comments in the chat as well, just like Jao has done here, one of our moderators. Good evening, Jao. He says good evening to me and everybody lurking in the chat. And if you can hit that like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. I will be doing a good morning show tomorrow, where I will be discussing my little trip a couple of days away. Yes, I know some of my content is is just a few days back. And tomorrow's content is also going to be a few days back because it's content that I recorded on Thursday, Friday, respectfully, guys. I got back home about 3 p.m. UK time. So I've gone through quite a lot of stuff for the last couple of hours when I've got last 2 hours just going through stuff for you guys here. I was actually contemplating not doing a show because I'm absolutely knackered, if I'm honest, guys, from the trip. But I'll talk about that more on Good Morning with REGANELITE, and we'll go through all the papers. Just a quick note as well. There will only be 3 Good Morning shows: one tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. And again, I'll run down the schedule for this week tomorrow morning rather than doing a post for you guys. So if you want to know the post, if you want to know just know that, I'll let you guys know. 7 a.m. Good morning then, Steve McMahon. If it's Tuesday morning for you there. Yes, good morning there. Hope you are doing well. Right. So quite a few interesting stories to cover here tonight, guys. The first one I want to talk about is this one here. I really, I don't know who is suggesting this, and I don't know if this is just been... I don't know who's suggesting this, but please don't make this a reality. So this is from The Guardian, this first one. MPs and peers are opposed to the US President Donald Trump's address to Parliament during a UK visit. Concerns raised the address it would be inappropriate because of President's comments about UK, NATO and Ukraine. I don't know who is suggesting this. I don't know whose idea is this, of this any possibility of President Trump speaking in Parliament. I would not want him to. He could be really nasty and very, he could just go off on an absolute tangent and he would just not stop. And yeah, it just would not be appropriate in any way, shape or form for this man to be speaking in Parliament. I just think it'd be absolutely disgraceful, guys. I just generally think it would be disgraceful. And just a reminder, guys, if you want to support the Democratic Penguins Republic, you can leave a super chat down below. Your comments will guaranteed to get read as well there. So if you can support the Democratic Penguins Republic, feel free to do so as well. But I don't know. I just hope this is kind of just rhetoric talk and this is not actually something that they're considering. It's also worth pointing out as well, now, Donald Trump did initially suggest a state parliament or something in September, but that's not the case. Because I was catching up on Max's, I've catched up on Phil Morehouse's today as well. I've got a couple of other YouTubers I want to catch up with as well. That's hence why as well. I know if you guys are wondering why I wasn't on Politics Social or on the two Davies shows today, guys, obviously because, like I said, I've been traveling and I'm trying to catch up on stuff because I've been off politics for a few days, so I am trying to catch up with things. So I do just want to put that perspective out there for you guys. But yeah, I just think this. I just don't see this happening. But Phil Morehouse was saying he needs video that it takes a long time to do a state visit, so it's not something that's going to get done by September, apparently, according to him. So is Donald Trump going to make a visit to UK this year? I mean, we know he's going to go to Scotland to do golfing, one way or another. I know the Scots will be mad about that, but it's very possible he's going to be doing that anyway. But if it, like, I just don't know. I don't want him to do a visit and then do a state visit like next year or something, because that it's bad enough, yeah, that he'll be coming to the UK, but the fact that he could be coming twice during his tenure, we just leave sour taste in our mouths, you know, especially for a state visit, which most of us don't really want as well. Ginger Lefty, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. So let's read a bit more into this, you guys. So a number of MPs and peers have called for Donald Trump to be blocked from addressing Parliament when he visits the UK. So the US President has suggested Buckingham Palace is setting a date for September for him to come to Britain. Yeah, that's to say to come to Britain. But some parliamentarians have voiced concerns that it would be inappropriate for him to speak in the Palace of Westminster, as did his predecessor Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan and Bill Clinton did. The first reported in the Times a message sent to Lord MacPhail of Al-Michalek. The Lord Speaker said, if it is suggested that he will be invited to address both houses of Parliament, I hope you and Lindsay will suggest that it would be inappropriate on this occasion because of his attitude towards comments about the UK, parliamentary democracy, the NATO alliance, and Ukraine. Yeah. It's not just that he has slagged off the UK, his vice president has slagged off the UK as well. Publicly. Like, why would you want somebody addressing your parliament who is blatantly slagged off the UK? Like, I don't agree with our system in any way, shape, or form. I think the system needs major reforms, and I'm sure you guys agree with me on that. But still, like, the guy's been slagging us off as well. So, yeah. Efforts to prevent Trump addressing parliamentarians are being coordinated by Lord Fullox, a minister in Sir Tony Blair's former government. He says that while the government is obliged to deal with the governments of all kinds, Parliament should not welcome a leader who is anti-democratic and flouts the courts and the rule of law. And basically, that's the reference to obviously the story about the about the innocent man who is in El Salvador's prisons at the moment. And obviously, the Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to get him out, and they still haven't done that. So, yeah, there is a flouting of the rule of law there. Sean Wall, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Hi, all my friend for the Queen, and you won't believe what he saw there. Toy Taser, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Martin Brisk as well. Hope you guys are all doing well. I'm a little bit worried about my voice. I'm not sure how I'm going to do today, so might take it a bit slow. Might not even cover all 6, but we'll see. He also fails to condemn the Russian invasion of Ukraine, which all parties in the UK Parliament have done. Meanwhile, the Labour MP Kate Osborne is said to have asked the Commons Speaker Lindsay Hoyle to follow his predecessor John Bercow in opposing an address from the Parliament from the President. In a letter to Hoyle, she reported saying that I'm asking you as a Speaker to agree it would be inappropriate and mirror the previous Speaker's recommendation. Osborne has been contacted for comment. President for second-term US presidents who have already made a state visit is usually tea or lunch with the monarch at Windsor Castle, as was the case for George W. Bush and Obama. Keir Starmer handed Trump what described at the time as truly historic personal invitation from the King for a second state visit when they meet at the White House in February. Back in February, sorry. However, reports suggest that the venue for the trip is now expected to be Windsor Castle rather than Balmoral or Danvers House as previously thought. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office last week, Trump said they're going to do a second feast. That's what it is, a feast, and it's beautiful, blah, 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 blah. It's an honour, Trump just saying lots of gibberish there. Respect for the king, royal family, You've heard all that nonsense before. But my obviously, I'm opposed to the state visit. I know most of you guys in the comments are opposed to the state visit, but yeah, there's the very possibility they could be speaking for Parliament. I'm very much like, it's just more rubbing salt in the wounds if he was to be allowed to do that. So again, I don't know where this idea of suggestions come from, but I guess because of history, because we've had, maybe because of history, perhaps it's different. But no, don't allow it. Don't allow it. My worry is that they may allow it just because they don't want to break tradition or to be seen as political, or just trying to butter up to him, which is, it's already bad enough how much buttering up we've been doing already. Lizard humans are real. I have seen one. I have a photo and I can prove it, says Sean Wall. Yeah, lizard humans are definitely real. I'm sure they are. Trump is probably looking into marrying his younger son with the royalty. He looks that type. Oh my god, and that would be very weird if Donald Trump was to if he was to marry a royal in the situation as him. I don't think that would happen anyway. It's very hyper, but there would have to be a lot of things that would get in the way for that to happen. But yeah, it would be pretty weird, to say the least. You know, when reform have changed, we're changing their tune on one or two things. Don't worry, just go with me here, guys. So we know that obviously that they're in favour of steel nationalisation of steel and water, but we know obviously that they're playing along with the. I'm gonna put this. They're playing along with the polls, with what the majority of the public are going on to get favour of them. But this is something that the British public are not in favour of. So Nigel Farage defends allowing US chlorinated chicken into UK as part of the trade deal. So the Reform UK leader on the campaign trail, as polls predict the right-wing party could be on course to win a general election. It's far too early to make predictions about the general election right now. It's not the same as where the Conservatives were a dead party walking, and it was just a case of running down the clock for them. Sorry, I don't know. I've just got a thing in my throat there. I mean, that's all it was, just running down the clock for them. But in this situation, like, Labour have only been in power. They haven't even had a full year. So, and we need to see more of what Labour are doing as a government. Right now, it still feels like it doesn't feel like there's a lot of change, a lot of positive change. But we also have to remember, guys, as well, and I think this is really, really important context when we talk about this Labour government in particular, is that you always, well, with any media, you always hear more negative than positive stories about what a government is doing. Now, like I've said, this Labour government have done some positive things. They have done some positive things, but you always hear more negative than positive. And Nigel Farage here, with this polling that he's on track to do well. Let's be very, very clear here. They've barely won any council elections. Okay, they've barely won any council elections. All the ones that they've had, they've gained. Like, there's a couple they've actually won, but there's been a couple. But we're talking about thousands and thousands. There's thousands of council elections out there, right? And most of the ones that they've had have been defections from Conservative to Reform. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're still going to be Reform. Yes, they got a good chunk of the vote share at the last general election. Well, that was the last general election. This local election, for me, will speak a lot of volumes. Will speak a lot of volumes about how much the Reform UK are on the ground level. Because if we see vote share between the Lib Dems, the Greens, and the Conservatives, I don't know how Labour are going to do. But if you see like a lot of some held by those parties and some gained by each other, and you don't see much of that from Reform, that will say a lot about this party in terms of their ambitions to win the general election. Because you can't just win it off the base, you've got to win on the ground level as well. There's a reason why the Greens have over 800 council seats. you know, because they are working on the ground as well. And I'm not hearing a lot about that from Reform. They have started that momentum, but I don't hear a lot about it in terms of the levels that the other parties is. The Liberal Democrats, the Conservatives, and the Liberal Democrats, Conservatives, and Labour, we already know they know what they're doing in this. And the Greens are kind of, they've been building that ground up anyway. But Reform, I'm not. It's not as much, and I think that will play a lot into this. And then you have Nigel Farage trying to justify allowing chlorinated chicken here into the UK. I don't want chlorinated chicken, especially if it doesn't meet our health and food standards. I don't want to give anything to our children or our next generation, anything that would make them worse off or less unhealthy. Now, I'm going to be absolutely an advocate here. I've never tried chlorinated chicken. I don't know what it's like. It could be really, really tasty. But if it's not even if chlorinated chicken is not something that is of good food standard, despite no matter how it's made, I'm not going to take it unless it meets a certain level. But I like I said, I've never tried chlorinated chicken. I don't know what it's like. So, for all I know, it might taste good, but then well, I wouldn't know. But if anyone has tried chlorinated chicken, let me know in the comments, honestly, down below. Free Iggy on the roof, old technology. Leapskin, good to see you, Leapskin. Hope you're doing well as well. Issue here too, stupid more, but usually they are old historic buildings and protected. Chlorinated water in the UK. Reform is like wind chime blowing in the wind. Yeah, but even with what social media is still saying, for them they have voters, they have big voters. It's about getting them, banding them together. That's what they do. But for me, like, I don't want our food standards being lowered, and that means obviously hurting our chances of securing better arrangements with the European Union for it. But I think there is because I don't think chlorinated chicken is popular with the UK population. But Nigel Farage could be saying this because he perhaps from the data and what what they have is that they can probably get away with saying this. So Yappa228 is like Yeeper on Twitch there saying it does take good plastic bags, Costa Wascree chicken wash with chemical water tastes good. And I'm European in America. Thanks for that. Thanks for that comment. Appreciate it. There. Jal says it probably tastes the same. Issue is whether they are hiding the chlorinated process and what toxins were made in the food. Yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason why the food standard is not the food level for chlorinated chicken is not. It's because of potential chemicals in it. It's my understanding. So let's have a read more into this, you guys. So, Nigel Farage has defended allowing labelled chlorinated chicken from the US into UK as part of a trade deal. As polls suggested, his Reform UK party could be on course to take the highest number of seats at a general election. Again, don't read into the polls right now. It's far too early. Speaking before the local elections in England on May the 1st, not too far away as well. There's not voting in my constituency, but if in your constituency, if you haven't already registered to vote, I don't know what's wrong with you. You need to cast your vote. You need to have your voice, guys. Really important. Farage says British consumers already ate chicken from plastics such as Thailand, reared in poor conditions, and accepted chlorinated wash lettuce. And he's told the Sunday Times, if you have a look at the chicken that we are currently importing from Thailand, you look at some of the conditions they've been reared in, and that's every single bag of pre-made salad in every single supermarket has been chlorinated. Once those basics have been accepted, I'll have a debate with you. Asked how he would prevent British chicken farms being undercut by cheap producers from the US. He said, I want to promote British farming as being a high-end product. I think the growth of farmers' markets, they are a more disconcerting audience that wants to know where their meat comes from. I don't think British farmers have anything to fear from this long term. It's still, the reality is it's still competition to British farmers. And that's the problem there. It's still competition. like British farming is already doing bad as it is. Like we were, and especially they've been really up in arms about the whole inheritance tax, or as they like to call it, farm tax, for them. So British farms are really struggling right now on that. Imagine a UK producer trying to export same products containing chicken to the EU, says Jow. Yeah. Very good, Howell Saxon. Thank you for asking on Twitch chat. Both the government... I did read that bit, didn't I? Yeah. Both the government and the Conservatives have objected to US demands for which producers to be able to sell chicken with lower welfare standards in the UK. Britain does not allow imports of products such as chlorinated washed chicken or hormone-injected beef, and Donald Trump has been pushing for agriculture to be part of the trade deal if the UK wants tariffs to be lowered on its exports, such as car and steel. Yeah, because he wants us to buy more American products, just because that's what they want. But he's very aggressive on trying to push American-made products onto other nations out there. Richard Grumpy Git, good to see you there. Hope you're doing. Let me guess, Farage has his share on the US chlorinated chicken. You know what? Richard, you've given me a great idea. You know what? If he really wants to sell chlorinated chicken, you know what he could do? He could do if he really wanted to sell it. Yeah, literally. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm going to say this anyway, guys. If he really wants to sell a chlorinated chicken, like really sell the idea that it's going to work, like if it really would be good, why doesn't he why doesn't he put some on video? Like literally show himself putting him having chlorinated chicken. Like if we've got nothing to worry about, why doesn't he go and eat it? Eat it live, like leave it on a live stream or something to show it. Like don't just say, yeah, I think it's great. Eat it. Show everyone, and then obviously you won't have an upset stomach or anything, will you, Nigel Farage? So why don't you eat chlorinated chicken? Cook it on a live stream or whatever, and there you go. Let's see you eat it. It's all well and good saying yeah, I think the British public can definitely have chlorinated chicken. Well, why don't you eat it? Put it on camera. But the thing is, I have to say live stream, because if he does a video, they can easily edit the chicken as well. Good evening, Mithral, my fellow comrade. Hope you are doing well, buddy. Weebad there as well. Good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. And Alistair Keir there. Hope you are doing well. Good to see you guys all as well. Harold Saxon on Twitch says the US sells a lot of agricultural goods to China, but of course this isn't the case with the tariffs, so US agricultural goods would be even cheaper to sell in the UK. Yeah, it'll be cheaper to sell, but it also hurts British farming as well. Like, yes, you bring in cheaper goods, yeah, for British consumers. Yeah, it's a positive for British consumers, but it's not good for British farmers. So we're undercutting our British farming industry. We don't want to undercut our British farming industry. So there's a balance that needs to be made. There needs to be a balance that needs to be made there. If we are serious about it, I don't know how serious this Labour government really is about it. Stephen Moran, thank you so much for the $2 New Zealand dollars, which will go to the Democratic Penguins Republic. Pingu appreciates any and all support that goes towards it. Much appreciated. There. 6 months and nothing intelligent or funny to say, says Mithral. Well, thank you so much for being a member for 6 months, Mithral. I appreciate your support. I really do. Thank you so much for being a member. It really does help support me and the channel. And of course, it supports the Democratic Penguins Republic as well, guys. And yes, we are going to be supporting their work from the work of Pingu and the Democratic Penguins Republic going forward. Sorry, I'm dragging on here. I will carry on in just a moment. Just want to say thank you, Alistair Keir, for sending for gifting 5 memberships there. Very generous of you. To Sharon Douglas, Sabine Nadal, Frederick Roth III, Eddie Wolfie, and Puri Vendetta there, who've been gifted 5 memberships. So that's very, very generous of you, my friend. Thank you so much for your support. Much appreciated there. Yeah, thank you to the new members, and thank you, Mithral, for being a member for 6 months as well. Much appreciated, guys. Anyway, let's continue. It's an interesting conversation, because it's like, well, some people have had it and they said it's all right. Obviously, like I said, until I try it, I don't really know. So it's not for me to say whether it tastes good, whether it's bad. I can only go by what people are saying and what you guys are saying in the chat and whatnot. So I think that the context there really matters, you know. Both the government and the Conservatives have objected to US demands for its producers to be able to sell chicken with lower welfare standards in the UK. So Britain does not allow imports of products such as chlorinated washed chicken and hormone-injected beef. And Donald Trump, yeah, we just said that already. I'm sorry, guys. In the interview with in Lancashire, where Reform is challenging both the Tories and Labour for council seats, Farage also spoke about his rift with Trump's advisor, the US billionaire Elon Musk, who has been pushing for him to take a harder line on immigration and support the far-right figure Tommy Robinson. Yeah, that's a story for another day, Tommy Robinson. He has been in contact with Musk since the spat on X, but added, I fought against this for 25 years. You can't bully me. I know what I think is right and what I think is wrong. Nobody pushes me around, not even him. Okay. Reform is hoping to take hundreds of seats off the established parties at the local elections, with a three-way split in the polls between Farage's party, Labour, and the Tories. Again, take polling with a pinch of salt, guys. It's not always, the pollings are not always right, but it's still interesting to say the least. So Keir Starmer's Labour is narrowly ahead in most surveys. However, an MIP poll in More Than Common found this week that Reform could win more seats than any other party at a general election, even if it has slightly lower vote share. Who did I vote for at the last UK general election? Hord Saxon. I voted for the Green Party because I believed in their policies. But in my constituency in particular, it's a Labour dominated seat, so my vote really did not make a difference whatsoever at the general election. The poll, looking at a consistency level splits, surveys 16,000 people, with its model suggesting 180 seats for the Reform Party on 23.7% of the vote. Like I said, take this with a pinch of salt with polls. I always have to stress this for you guys. 165 for the Tories and 24.3% of the vote, and 165 for Labour on 24.5%. It indicates 67 seats for the Lib Dems on 13.3% of the vote, and 35 for the SNP on 2.2% there. Its modelling suggested that if a general election was held now, then Labour could lose 246 seats, including 10 cabinet ministers, with losses to Reform in the Rebel and the Welsh Valleys and to the SNP in Scotland. I expect a surge in the SNP in Scotland. I really do. They will bite back. Because a lot of people, it's very important for people. Well, I'm sure most of my Scottish friends will indicate a lot of people who voted Labour in Scotland did so with the intent of hurting the Conservatives. But all they did was they gave a lot of their power from the they gave their votes to a Labour Party that's not really serving much of the interests of Scotland. Just a lot of bashing up there, to be fair. Mad Monk 33, good to see you there, buddy. Hope you are doing well. And thank you, Alistair Keir, for the £2 super chat there. All hail the DPR. Yes, all hail the Democratic Penguins Republic, indeed. I voted for Lib Dem in the general, as it was my only choice apart from the Tories or Reform, says Richard. Nope, if you vote for who you think is in the best interest. Yeah, like I said, I'm in a Labour stronghold, so my vote didn't make an impact there. The poll also indicates Labour was being squeezed from both sides, with progressive voters looking at the Lib Dems, Greens and the Independents, causing seats to be lost to the right. The poll suggests the main parties could be on course for difficult local elections on the 1st of May, although they are hard to forecast on accounts of the often low turnout. Yeah, we'll definitely look more at the local elections probably next week on episode 99, I think, for sure, definitely. As we get closer to it, guys, it will definitely be. I mean, it's early days, but because I do want to stress, it's going to be early days anyway. So we shouldn't read too much into these local elections. It's just how people are feeling right now. Are people feeling better off? Are people seeing a difference? You know, those are really questions. Polling's not always accurate, guys. It's just an indication of what some people are saying. One Angry Pagan, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. But guys, make sure you check out One Angry Pagan's YouTube channel. Someone put a link down in the description below. And also, myself and One Angry Pagan will be together this Thursday for our Eco Flake Show. We'll be talking about the environment, climate change, rising water sea levels, all that fascinating stuff, guys, because I think it's really important that we have those discussions and talk about that stuff. So do join us on Thursday for that. Be much appreciated. Rosemary, good to see you there as well. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, be interesting to see how they do. But yeah, I don't think the Labour government are going to change on the chlorinated chicken. But like I said, I've never tried it, so I can only go by what people have, what experts have said, and by what you guys, if you've had it or not had it, in the chat is like and whatnot. Because I'm not going to BS you guys on it. I'm not going to BS you guys on it. Right, next one is very frustrating one to say the least with regards to our National Healthcare Service. So hospital patients had to wait more than 10 days for a bed as unacceptable crisis laid bare. This is from Sky News. The figures have been described to point to a crisis in corridor care. But while the government admits the waits are unacceptable, it says fixing the problem will take time. Yes, this is I really have to stress this. I've said this already, but I want to stress this now. We do have to give West Streeting a chance to show and see the difference that is being made to the National Healthcare Service. Excuse me. I know people. I don't like West Streeting. I hate him too, guys. It's okay. You can say it. You can say it in the chat too. But we have to see at least at the end of this year how the NHS is doing. And I do accept the premise that it will take time because it's easy to break things, but it's much harder to fix them or to undo the damage of them. And the National Healthcare Service has been crippled by the Conservative Party. We know that they've crippled the NHS. It's much worse in England and Wales than it is in Scotland. But it has been it's been difficult. The one positive that has been the reduction of waiting times for in NHS, and some comments. I was going through some of the comments on from some of the polls. I did a couple of community chat polls. It was interesting that I saw one or two people basically saying that they were seeing doctors seeing more patients. They were seeing prescriptions getting more picked up. So there were some signs, like I said, and the waiting list as well. So there are some signs in places where the NHS is improving. Though some people aren't seeing that at all in their areas. So, and you also have to remember, every area, in particular England, is going to be different in different parts of the area. So while it's easy for me to say, oh, the NHS is doing great. Well, I'm in London, so it's easy for me to say that. Well, outside of London, like maybe somewhere, down in Devon, one Angry Pagan can speak for himself, or what the healthcare, how they're doing down there, or for somewhere up in the Midlands or North, are they being able to keep on top of some of these things? So it's different. Every area is different. So we do have to wait and see the results, see over time how they do. But around 49,000 A&E patients have to wait 24 hours or more for a hospital bed in England last year, according to the National Healthcare Service figures. So data compiled by Liberal Democrats. Okay, take it with a pinch of salt. I do say that, take it with a pinch of salt, because it's from the Lib Dems. So it's not like a Freedom of Information request. Okay, I just literally said that, didn't I? Shows that the longest wait was 10 days and 13 hours. The party said there were 48,830 trolleys waits, or 24 hours or longer in 2024. That's 19.8% higher than 2023. That was 40,000, 59.9% higher than in 2022. That was 30,000. I think the way it's going right now, and I hope I'm wrong, is that if this is true, I say if this is true, my hope is that it's still rising, but it is slower rising than it did under the Conservatives. That is my hope, but we just don't know. Regardless of whoever's in government, this is unacceptable, okay? A trolley wait is the time taken for a patient to be transferred to a ward after a decision has been taken to admit them to hospital. And we also have to remember we have a lot of hospitals with still crumbling structures and those issues as well that still need to be dealt with as well. Like there's a lot of hospitals that need a lick of paint as well. Lib Dem said the real numbers were likely to be far higher. Yeah, this is what I possibly thought as well, because 54 out of 148 NHS trusts have provided the full data. Yeah, that speaks a lot of volumes. Only 54 as well. Over the last 3 years, the percentage of those waiting age 65 or over remained consistently at around 70%. The Royal College of Nursing said the figures only begin to scratch the surface of the crisis in corridor care, and that declining recruitment in nursing was adding to the problem. Yeah, the Labour government will point to hospitals that are doing well, rather not than talking too much about the negative ones. But if the negative ones do come in the news and that, they could just say, well, the Tories left it in a mess. That's what they will tend to do. The General Secretary, Professor Nicola Ranger, said corridor care is undignified and unsafe and must be eradicated. Health Secretary did not anticipate scrapping NHS England. Crisis tile will take time to fix. The government has made cutting NHS waiting list one of its key missions. He insists progress has been made by deploying RSVs, COVID and flu vaccines, ending strikes by healthcare workers and reforming the health service, including scrapping NHS England. I will say, yeah, like some of this stuff has been... I'm still not sure about the NHS England thing, but yeah, some of this stuff has definitely helped. And in the healthcare worker strike, like the Conservatives just didn't want to deal with it. It was really ridiculous, really. The spokesperson for the Department of Health and Social Care said that no patient should have to wait 24 hours in A&E to be admitted to a ward. No, this has to stop. This definitely has to be stopped. One Angry Pagan says, I've been seeing improvements down here. Actually, not too difficult to see my GP anymore, and family and friends have had much better access at Torby Hospital, not waiting 6 months to be seen. That's good to hear, Pagan. That's good to hear down in your area. Thanks for that information. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to know that you know, when people who are there, who are in the areas, when they hear it from family and friends and colleagues and whatnot, that does help a lot, rather than just obviously going by information on the internet all the time. We are determined to end the annual winter crisis in urgent care and to cut waiting lists for emergency care, but it will take time. Yeah, I agree. They are providing more care for the community, which help ensure fewer patients end up in A&E to begin with. Yeah, we need to, you know, the cost of living crisis is also tied to this as well. The Lib Dems are campaigning for a new team of superheads, consisting of experienced NHS bosses to be deployed within struggling NHS trusts and bring them up to standard. Yeah, there needs to be something to help with the ones that are doing really bad. There needs to be something there. When I had a mini stroke at the Royal Leicester Infirmary, they were utterly brilliant, says Mithril. Well, first and foremost, I'm so sorry you had that mini stroke, Mithril. I really am. But I'm so glad that they treated you and were cared for you really well there. That's very good to hear. It's always good to hear the good stuff. You know, most stories I hear about staff are really brilliant, but I do hear negative stories from people at times as well. But it's always nice to hear positive stories from them. Official statistics shows that the total number of patients waiting over 12 hours for an emergency admission in England decreased from 61,529 to 46,766 in March. Some of the fall can be contributed to a post-seasonal peak from winter illnesses. Previous analysis by the Royal College of Emergency Medicine found that there were almost 14,000 deaths associated with long A&E stays before admission in 2023. So what we're looking at here is that the Tories, as if, you know, them being responsible for looking after us during the pandemic here, that this long an A&E stay that they've allowed to happen have allowed more lives to be lost. But is there going to be accountability? No, of course not. I hate that. 14,000 deaths. That's really terrible. No one ever believes. Sean Moore says no one ever believes me that they think I make things up, but I'm just being honest. This Sean, don't just don't listen. Just stay true to yourself. You know, there's always going to be people out there. You know, when there's always going to be people out there that don't always believe what people say all the time. Just don't take it to heart, you know. That's my best advice. I was a terrible patient, couldn't wait to go home as I hadn't brought a book with me. Oh, says Mithril. Oh, no. Not even a book. Like, I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I was in a hospital with no internet and not having a phone with me. I'd be like, this would be it'd be absolutely be terrible for me. Yeah, you're not. Yeah. As Giles says, you're not offending anyone, Sean. You're all good. You're all good here. You're all good. Right, guys. I think we're going to take a quick little break so far. I've got 3 more stories to go through if I can make it there, guys. I will just point out, I have, like I said, for those who have come in now who weren't here at the start of the live stream, I've been awake since 5 a.m. I travelled back from my trip from Doncaster. I'll tell you guys all about it tomorrow morning's live stream. So if I am trying not to yawn, so I do apologize if I'm coming across a little bit tired. I do apologize, I really do. But I've been traveling for like more than 3 hours, and I got back home at about just after 3 o'clock ish. So I do apologize if I seem a little bit sort of thing like that, but I did want to run through as much news and politics today, because obviously I want to catch up on a lot, because I've been out of the loop for a few days. So I appreciate everybody coming along here. But there was also, while obviously there's the story about the loss of the Pope, there was also something else that was happening over the weekend, and that was Easter. So I know not everyone celebrates Easter, and that's totally cool if you don't. But Garen had a very important video with regards to Easter, guys. He wanted to see what seeing some of these definitions, some of the people who sent him pictures of their Irish Easter dinner. So you let me know when you were watching this, guys, whether you agree or disagree with some of these Irish dinners now that Garen has here in his video. Very curious to see what some of you guys think here. Also, this is a funny video as well. Hope you enjoy anyway.
Right, you fuckers, I'm reviewing your Easter dinners. First things first, what the fuck is this? I believe this is a potato gratin, very fancy. I'm sure it tasted lovely, but it looks like a cross-section of one of my arteries after a few Easter eggs. Also, why the fuck have you put milk in your vegetables? 8 out of 10. If you can't go to the hospital this Easter, why not bring the taste of the hospital to your own home? Okay, this does look depressing, but let's try and find the positives. Are these fucking roast potatoes? Because I'm seeing no evidence of the roasting process. Sunbeds are extremely dangerous. I don't recommend them to anybody, but these potatoes could do with a few sessions. The best thing about this is the lighting. I can tell just by looking at this that it's pissing rain outside. You've opened up your curtains in a depressing attempt to try and bring in some natural light. 8 out of 10. This actually looks very nice. Oh, we're going watching a bit of telly this evening, are we? The entertainment system is in full force. This is going to be a night to remember. 10 out of fucking 10. She's feeling a bit oriental this Easter Sunday. Oh fuck, I just noticed there's been an incident. I like to colour outside the lines with my portion sizes as well, respect. That being said, what the fuck is this? Everything has been mashed. 10 out of 10. Why does this look like a photo of a relative who died in the 80s? This looks pretty good, but I have to ask, where are you planning on spreading the potatoes' ashes? Excellent submissions, 10 out of 10. Follow me, I'm delicious.
I'm somebody who obviously I didn't really celebrate Easter because I was away for the weekend, and I'll talk about that tomorrow. But I have to say, some of those roast dinners there, some of them look really tasty, and there are some there I'm like, I'm not really too sure on them, me personally. But honestly, let me know what you guys think down below of them. Yeah, the roast potatoes, indeed. Indeed. Frederick, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Rip woke Pope. I don't know. Yeah. In all seriousness, rest in peace to the Pope. Any loss of life is terrible. This guy looks like a great wingman mosh pit. Last ER visit, Jal says, last ER visit for some lung issues due to a harsh fluid. I paid around €20 plus €7 in medicine after Dr. Blood Works examined all of it. That's depressingly a brown food. Yeah, I mean, like, I do, like, it's very rare, me personally, it's very rare that I have a roast dinner. It's very, very rare, but I do love a roast dinner. I do love a roast dinner, guys. I'm not going to lie. But I didn't know there's a specific, like, Easter food, like, particular. I mean, isn't it just a case of basically they're saying a Sunday roast is basically what you should be having on an Easter Sunday. I'm assuming that's what they're trying to tell us there. But maybe it's because I don't like the only times I have roast dinners probably is Christmas time, and whenever I ever have a proper roast, it's very rare that I do. To be fair, I have to go out and go out for a meal for one. This probably will be the other thing there. Anyways, enough about food. I'm sure I'm building up an appetite for you guys. Right, this is an interesting story here from the BBC. So, prison staff are to demand electric stun guns in jail. I have mixed feelings about this. So my initial thoughts. So the side of me is like, I don't want to see prisoners getting stunned in the prisons. They shouldn't have to be. That shouldn't have to be the case. But at the same time, we know that prisons are getting really overcrowded at the moment. They're almost near capacity full. And with such a large amount of prisoners can lead to a lot of problems. There's also another thing to this as well, which can happen, is that while it may protect the staff, may protect the staff, and it may be seen as it can act as a deterrent to avoid prisoners causing trouble as well. The other possibility is that if there was a situation where like three prisoners jumped on them. Imagine one of those prisoners getting their hands on these electric stun guns and using it then on the prison staff. Imagine the cause it could. There is that possibility. I know it's an outside chance, but the last thing that you want is them having to result to this. But I also understand why prison staff are asking for more, because they feel vulnerable, and I completely and totally understand that, given the current situation it is right now. And that's why a lot of people are turning away from from being prison officers, and I don't blame them, because it's a very tough job. It's a very stressful job. You really have to have balls of steel to be doing that job. Whether you're male or female, whatever it's prison, like it's a very stressful job. That is for sure. So prison officers are to demand that staff be immediately given electric stun guns to protect themselves while guarding the UK's most dangerous jails when they meet the Justice Secretary on Wednesday. So the meeting with Shabina Mahmood comes after Ashim Abi, one of the men responsible for the Manchester area bombings, threw hot oil at officers and stabbed them with makeshift weapons at HMP Frankfurt in County Durham. Mark Fairness, a national chair of the Prison Officers Association, told the BBC that they are calling for the tactical use of taser. In a statement, Mahmood said, "We must do better to protect our prison officers in the future." This is absolutely disgusting. Threw hot oil at officers and stabbed them with makeshift weapons. That is absolutely disgusting. Should be thrown in solitary confinement. Hot oil. Speaking of BBC Breakfast, Miss Farage said, "My concerns are that when we face life-threatening situations, we no longer have tactical options. If extendable batons and incapacity sprays failed to work adequately, we have no other options available. That's why we're calling for the tactical use of taser. We want speciality trained staff on site who responds to incidents with the ability to deploy tasers to neutralise that threat. At the moment, we haven't got that." I understand the premise this could set if they decide to start using these. But I'm kind of inclined to agree that that maybe this is something that they should be given. I understand that the repercussions of it, but for me, the fact that officers had hot oil thrown and stabbed at them, like, it may be one incident, but there are other instances out there. I am concerned about the well-being of the officers here. I get the repercussions of using tasers on officers. I totally accept that criticism, guys. But given the situation of the prison crisis right now, and I know some people have said in comments on videos that prison crisis has been getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know I honestly don't know enough about the prison crisis, obviously, from it, but some people have been saying it's been going on for decades. And the thing is, you can't really blame the officers for wanting more protection in this situation when on this. Puri Vendetta, good to see you there. Hope you are doing well. Yeah, he was very generous. Alistair Keir was giving them out the memberships. Very generous of him. Before said, when I was a taxi driver, I used to pick prisoners up from local prisons for hospital visits. 2 huge prison officers and a usually scrunchy prisoner weighed in at the back of my Prius, says Mithril. I don't think tasers are used in NYS prisons. Is that New York prisons, Frederick? Apologies if that's what you NYS, if that's what you mean. Sorry. They let criminals out, but put people in on a Facebook post, said Sean. It depends what the post is. If the post is inciting violence or calling for the burning of hotels with people in the buildings, that's a different matter. Let me just scroll up to. Yes, they let them out. They let them out. Kistama did that. They were full. Yeah, but it's very important to stress that at the time thank you, Steve McMorrow, for that another $2 New Zealand dollars to support the Democratic Penguins Republic. Yeah, it's very important to remember, guys, that the prisons were already overcrowded in the run up to the general election, and literally both political parties had to make emergency measures before even the general election took place. Like, that's how messed up it was. That's how messed up it was. And then as soon as Labour got in, they had to make these emergency measures. Now, I've already said that they should be letting the protesters who have been thrown in jail, because I'm sorry if I'm about to say this, it's fucking stupid that protesters are in prison taking up space when they could easily pay a fine or do community service instead. There's some instances in some of the crimes that people have been thrown in jail for. They can easily do community service instead. Like, the whole system needs overhauling, but it's just trying to get it all done is just problematic. Thank you, Alistair Keir, for £2 super chat. For some reason, I can't click the heart. There we go. Thank you for your support. Thank you, guys, for hitting the target today. Much appreciated your support. Alistair Keir and Stephen Moore, you guys have been very generous today. Much appreciated it. Thank you for your support for the Penguin Republic. Pingu, much appreciated it. We'll see Pingu in a bit, guys. So prison officers only carry an extendable baton and pala incapacitory spray and synthetic pepper spray. PRA will also renew calls for all staffers to have stab vests. They shouldn't need stab vests. I'm not against them having stab vests, but the fact that they there's a fear that they need to have them. That's very scary. Mr. Frankfurt has also called for an American Supermax style rules imposed on the UK's most dangerous inmates. This would mean that our high-risk inmates would leave their cell only when handcuffed and escorted by 3 staff, he told the Guardian newspaper. No, I don't want to follow the American style, please, thank you. There would also be no mixing with other prisoners, and they would be restricted to their basic entitlements of rights and privileges. The MOJ has said there will be a full independent review into the incident, which has drawn criticism from survivors and families of the victims of the Manchester area bombing. Yep, rightfully so. Former prisoner Governor Ian Uskin said the current protective equipment issued to police officers, particularly those that deal with the most dangerous prisoners, is inadequate compared to the level of threat they face. We need some urgent action by the Ministry of Justice to protect frontline staff, or we are very close to having a frontline prison officer murdered on duty. Security measures at the separation zone allow prisoners access to the kitchens. It's the kitchens. The kitchens is always the kitchen is the area. Man, I don't know if any of you've heard of the video game Prison Architect when you run your own prison. And even I knew playing that video game that when you put prisoners in the kitchen, if you always run the risk of them getting their hands on weapons in there. Where Aberdale carried out the attack, but this has been suspended by the MOJ following the incident. Yeah, access to the kitchens, like there's always going to be that possibility. I will also provide recommendations and findings that will highlight if there are any changes to process or politics that can be implemented at HMP Frankland and more broadly across the high security estate. An internal review into protective body armour will also be carried out, she said. There's no mention of electric stun guns in the statement. We'll find out after Wednesday what's been said. I'm sure there'll be some coverage of it. It's been held on a separate centre, holds a small number of inmates deemed to be dangerous and extremists. Yeah, Aberdale has since been returned to Belmarsh. 55 years in prison after being kicked and convicted of murdering 22 people. Yeah, disgusting individual. Yeah, I'm like I am kind of leaning towards it, but I can understand the criticisms against the stunt gun. Because for like I said, I just feel like I just want the officers, I want the prison guards and officers to feel safe. I want them to have the protections that they need. And if they don't have it, guys, then they need to be issued it. And I know everything comes at a cost. Education and prevention is the only way to control these stabbing problems. Well, this is I would call this individual and this incident an extreme case. But then but because of who it is, I don't know how many other instances take place. I'd have to get freedom of information request on it, to be fair. It's cultural to have a knife on you that has a tool. Well, it's a makeshift one. So he's obviously it's not an actual knife. It's a makeshift one that they made from the kitchen, which they really should. Like, I feel like they should just pat them down, or have electric metal detectors or something going in and out of the kitchens, you know. But again, funding, costs, all that stuff plays a part. Limit the size of blades and the places where you can have them with an effect in education. Should have been a risk assess, i.e. access to hold oil, etc. I imagine it was in the kitchen, but I don't know the full details of the incident. I do want to stress that, rather than stab vests and stunt guns. Yeah, for me, it's like, it does feel like to me, before we move on, it does feel like to me, and feel free to agree with me on this, that they're perhaps, because this incident happened, they're using it as a political, the prison officers could be using it as a political maneuver to say, this incident happened, this could happen to any of us, please give us these things. Basically, an incident happens, they're going to highlight that incident because it's somebody that's, you know, that's very well known for the incident that occurred, so they could be using it politically as well. I'm not saying it's intentional, just at the end of the day they just want to protect themselves. There was a kid that bought a crossbow to attack his classmates last year. He got denounced and detained. There will always be mad people and psychos. Yeah. The problem is that stun guns fail or do not do anything now if prisoners are on something. That's true as well, Alice Sakir. That is true. We'll keep talking about this, I'm sure. It'll be well, I'm sure we'll have a discussion about this again. That's for sure. A couple of mates of mine are going to be doing time soon, says One Angry Pagan. Yeah, absolutely be used as political fodder, says Frederick. Yeah, I mean, instances like that, yeah, if you can be used to give you guys more than what you need. Yeah, I felt so as well. This one's from The Independent. I'm probably not going to read all of this, but I want to highlight some of this. So the shocking state of Britain's waters revealed as bathing spots with potentially deadly bacteria doubled. Surging coastlines, rivers, lakes, and unsafe levels of E. coli and industrial E. coli due to sewage spills. Could have saved this for Thursday, couldn't I, Pagan? Look, there's already poop on the water, guys. Literal poop. Gotta say, respect for the costumes there. But yeah, we need to end sewage pollution. We know what the solution is, guys. We know what the solution is. But Labour don't want to do it. Of England, 451 protected bathing spots. 37 are now rated as poor, the lowest category, because they contain unsafe levels of deadly bacteria, including E. coli and What are you doing? Take me back to... Stupid. I did not click. Stupid computer. E. coli, I've lost my train of thought now. Due to sewage spills, 2024 figures provided by the Environment Agency are up from 18 in 2023. And so far this month, there's been more than 6,000 sewage discharged across England, Scotland, and Wales, with alerts issued at 157 beaches through campaign groups Surface Against Sewers, Safer Seas and Rivers Service app. The highest number of pollution incidents recorded in 2024 was at Walsfee in Birkenhead, which had 2,201 spills. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to drink some more to help with my throat a bit there. So these are some bathing spots listed as poor by the Environment Agency. Out of 451 that designates bathing spots, 37 have been classified as poor following water quality testing here. So yeah, that's quite a lot. That's a lot of spots. And as you can see, these are all England ones as well. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And it comes as water companies in England report 2,487 pollution incidences last year. Over 2,400. The highest in a decade and a 30% increase against the Environment Agency's target to reduce sewage. Private companies don't give a fuck. They don't care. If they can get away with it, they're going to get away with it. And like the fines don't work. Like the criminal sanction thing, like I'm sure they'll find loop that are like, if somebody actually goes to prison, if we actually see a boss go to prison, then maybe there'll be some act done. But it's absolutely outrageous that our water bills are gone up. They have the money to fix this. It is just a case of prioritizing the shareholders, which is why the whole bloody shebang needs to go back into the state's hands. The Environment Agency said this level of pollution is unacceptable, while MPs from across the political divide branded sewage levels deeply troubling and absolutely shocking. Comes as a new report from campaign group SAS reveals it received 1,853 sickness reports in the past year. This is also contributing to our National Healthcare Service problem as well, by the way. An average of 5 people a day. Of this number, 331 was so ill they had to see a doctor, with 79 reported that their illness was linked to sewage pollution. Again, this links to our healthcare, which means that makes some of them unable to work, which means they end up on sick pay, or they end up losing their job, which means they end up on benefits because they're unable to do their job, because guess what? They've been ill. They're ill, all because of the situation on our waters. Excuse me. health issues have reported, including gastroenteritis, chest infections, and serious bacterial infections, with some swimmers having to be hospitalized. Again, this is all really bad. It's the Easter holiday and thousands of people flocking to the UK's blue spaces only to be confronted by the threat of sewage pollution. This is shocking, unacceptable, and the system is nothing but a farce. We are demanding radical reforms in this utterly broken sector so that we can all enjoy the very basic rights of swim, surf, and paddle without risking becoming unwell. Tomorrow, £20,000 to the charity to support his valuable work Earth Day 2025. Oh, that's very good of them. In a bid to clean up beaches and rivers, the 451 locations are granted bathing and water status are tested during this summer season for E. coli and industrial E. coli. This is the top 10 bathing spots that have been affected by sewage spills. Surfers Against Sewage have collected data on the number of sewage spills at each of these swimming spots there. So you have Plymouth, Hold East, Duracell, Streamer Cree, Water Cove at Millstream, Walsey, St Anne's, Fleetwoods, Wildley, Sundergap, Alon Bay, and Spifferill there have been highlighted. It is preventable. It is. It is absolutely, definitely, Frederick. You're absolutely 100% correct. It is preventable. It is a political choice to not nationalise them. And as far as people keep banging on about the debts that they have, there are ways to get out of us not having to pay the debt. There are ways to get around it. Helena from No Justice has spoken about it. Before. I used to love fishing in the UK rivers. Nowadays, don't feel safe as I have the skin that breaks easy and it would leave me vulnerable to waterborne infections. I'm so sorry, Mithril. Purity Vendetta says the only way I see things changing in UK is if purity sanctions are actually used. The water companies need to be forced to hand over the infrastructure to keep the debts that they run up. I think it was something to do about putting it in bonds, the debts. I can't remember exactly how it was, but there was a way around it. There was a way around the debts. We've been having rainy weeks and still no spillage of any non-clean water from the water treatment plants. It has Frederick says preventable, says Jal. Well, in Portugal and in the rest of the European Union, you have high standards, which makes logical sense, and our standards basically disappeared when we left the European Union, which gave carte blanche to these water companies to kind of do whatever the hell they want. Whereas when they were part of the European Union, there were going to be heavy prices coming beforehand. So Brexit, has made things worse for our waters. Many of those rated poor among swimmers, surfers, and kayakers, including Scarborough, South Bay. Guys, this is going to be the last story because my throat is killing me, so I do apologise. We are going to leave the last story, but I will show it to you guys either way. Which has been rated poor for 2 consecutive years. Popular with families, it is renowned for its amusement arcades, ice cream parlours, and donkey rides along the beach. Also listed poor is Wellyford Beach, a 35-minute long stretch of sandy grass along the River Thames, which is favourite among wild swimmers. Has seen hundreds of sunbathers swarm to it on the hottest days. Its latest Environment Agency figures from March show storm overflow still spillage into England's rivers, lakes, and along coastlines for new heights of more than 3.61 million hours in 2024. Coastal areas are particularly affected with poor water quality ratings, including Weston, Supermaray, and Blackpool beaches, both of which are popular with families. The Labour MP Clive Lewis, who introduced a Prime Minister's Bill to Parliament aimed at cleaning up UK's waters by nationalising companies that repeatedly pollute waterways, said, "Shocking declaration of British waterways is deeply troubling, can no longer be ignored. While water companies continue to hand billions to shareholders, our rivers, lakes, and seas are suffering severe pollution, causing illness among the public and harming wildlife." Yeah, this is the message you need to drive to people who are against nationalising the water companies. Billions are getting handed to shareholders. This is the message you tell people when people have people have questions about nationalising, or are not sure, and they say they just want their water fixed. This is the message you tell them. You tell them that your money that you're paying for your water goes towards billionaires, goes towards shareholders. Doesn't actually go towards fixing the problem. Or if it does go try to fix your problem, it goes with a sticky plaster rather than actually dealing with the problem. Have a glass of water. Oops, sorry, not a good idea. All these notes is in the effects is the effects to us, says one angry pagan. Excuse me. Referring to criticism that his government's approach has been woefully inadequate, he has urged greater transparency, accountability, and for Labour to consider public ownership of all companies. Protecting our waterways should be a shared priority for the health and well-being of everyone, not the get-rich-quick Ponzi scheme that sadly become. Tim Farron saying the same things as well. Don't need to read what he's saying. Our Environment Agency spokesperson said it's unacceptable. Taking steps to hold water companies to account. Okay, it's now a statutory requirement for water companies to produce annual plans to show how to meet their expectation. I mean, what the fuck is that gonna do? Like, also undertaking the biggest transformation to the way we regulate new enforcement powers to make more regulation and enforcement officers ensure our regulation of water companies will better meet the needs of the people and the environment. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Too long water companies have reported We promise our opponents to put tougher measures and then criminal charges. Yep, this is just copy and paste what we've always heard from the government on this, guys. I don't even need to repeat that to you guys. You know already what that is. Yeah, it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. Water is man's most fundamental need. Says Steve Ron. It is indeed. I'm just making a tiny tweak on the description there. Here in Scotland, we don't have this problem because our water is in public control. Absolutely, Leapskin. Unfortunately, there's just one downside though, is that for all the clean water that you have in Scotland, some of that dirty water that's going to be piling up in England may find itself in Scotland, may flow that way, and that's entirely not your fault. Unless this Labour government gets on top of it, which I don't think they will. Private companies need to be forced to pay when nationalised. They should be forced to pay. And polluting companies get closed. Around here, polluters are jailed, not just fined. I mean, I like the criminal charges thing. Like, I'm still like, is it really going to make a difference? Is it really going to make that big difference? I don't know, guys. I'm just not 100% sure. But guys, I want to say thank you guys almost for coming along. But before we go, I've got one more funny video for you guys. A very important Easter message from someone very, very important to see ourselves out. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. Of course, from the wonderful Maggie Lee with a very, very important Easter message. Yes, I know Easter's technically over, but I wanted to play this one for you guys at least.
And now, an Easter message from the President of the United States of America. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, and the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into our country. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue. An attack so violent it will never be forgotten. Sweepy Joe Biden purposely allowed millions of criminals to enter our country, totally unvetted and unchecked, through open borders that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetuated in America. He was by far our worst and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him and the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president. And to all the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected. I wish you with great love, sincerity, and affection a very happy Easter!
Gotta love Maggie Lee, guys. Gotta love Maggie Lee. So, guys, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with you guys, the rundown of things. So, like I said, I'm a bit tired, obviously, from the journey. So, voice is a little bit today as well. But thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you, Alistair Keir and Stephen Moore, for the super chats and the gifted memberships. Thank you, Mithril, for being a member for 6 months as well. Much appreciated, guys. Pingu would like to say thank you as well. Thank you for your support for the Democratic Penguins Republic. It is greatly appreciated. A bit of a salute there. He has small arms there. So, but he can only do so much. But yay, he says. So thank you all. Much appreciated. So yes, guys, I'll be back tomorrow morning. So do join me for that. But just before I go, I just have one last thing to say. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, we greatly appreciate, and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms as well. And you could also join us on the Discord community, which is free to join as well. Links for all my other social medias are in the description as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.